Hey everyone, welcome back to Native Speakers Channel. I'm Johnny, and I'm here with my good friend Sarah. Today, we've got a really fun and practical topic for you, hair salon secrets. We're going to talk all about getting your hair done, from booking appointments to describing what you want, and even some of the disasters we've experienced. Whether you're planning to visit a salon in an English-speaking country or just want to sound more natural when talking about hair, this conversation is for you. So, Sarah, are you ready to spill some hair salon secrets?
Absolutely. Let's dive right in.
So, Sarah, how often do you go to the hair salon?
Oh, I try to go every 6 to 8 weeks, but honestly, sometimes I stretch it to 3 months. Life gets busy, you know? What about you?
I'm pretty low maintenance. I go maybe once a month, sometimes every 6 weeks. I just get a simple trim and clean up the sides. Nothing fancy. But I know for women, it's usually a bigger commitment, right?
Oh, definitely. A woman's hair appointment can take anywhere from 1 hour to 5 hours, depending on what you're getting done. If I'm just getting a trim, it might be 45 minutes to an hour. But if I'm doing highlights, a color treatment, and a cut, we're talking 3 to 4 hours minimum.
Wow, that's like a whole afternoon. I had no idea it took that long. What's the longest you've ever spent at a salon?
Oh gosh, probably about 5.5 hours. I was getting a complete color transformation. I went from dark brown to blonde, and that requires bleaching, toning, and sometimes multiple rounds of color. It's a whole process. My hairdresser kept saying, just a little bit longer, and I was sitting there thinking, my back is killing me.
That sounds exhausting. So let's talk about the vocabulary people need when they go to a salon. What's the first thing you do when you want to book an appointment?
Well, you call the salon, or nowadays, many salons let you book online. You'd say something like, "Hi, I'd like to book an appointment for a haircut," or "I'm looking to schedule a color appointment." They'll usually ask you which stylist you prefer, if you have one, and what date and time works for you.
Right, and it's good to mention if you're a new client or if you've been there before. They might ask, is this your first time with us, or have you been to our salon before? If you have a regular stylist, you can say, I'd like to book with Maria, or I usually see Kevin.
Exactly. And here's a pro tip. If you're getting anything more than a basic cut, like if you're getting color, highlights, or a treatment, always ask how long the appointment will take. You don't want to book it right before something important. I made that mistake once. I had a wedding to go to and thought I could squeeze in highlights beforehand. Big mistake. I was almost late because it took way longer than I expected.
Oh no, that must have been stressful. So let's say you're sitting in the chair and the stylist asks, what are we doing today? What are some ways to describe what you want?
Okay, so there are several key phrases. If you just want a small amount off, you might say, just a trim, please, or I'd like to take off about an inch. If you want something more dramatic, you could say, I want to take off about 4 inches, or I'm ready for a big change.
And what if you want to keep the length but change the style?
Great question. You might say, I want to keep the length, but add some layers, or I'd like some face framing layers. Layers are super popular because they add movement and dimension to your hair. You could also ask for long layers versus short layers. Long layers are more subtle, while short layers create more dramatic texture.
I've heard women talk about side-swept bangs and blunt bangs. What's the difference?
Oh, bangs are a whole topic. Blunt bangs are cut straight across, usually right at eyebrow level or just above. They're very bold and make a statement. Side-swept bangs are longer and swept to one side of your face. They're more subtle and versatile. Then there are curtain bangs, which are parted in the middle and frame both sides of your face. They're really trendy right now.
Interesting. And what about when you're describing the overall length? What are the terms for that?
Sure, you could say shoulder length, which is pretty self-explanatory. It hits right at your shoulders. Chin length is a shorter bob that ends around your chin. If you want it really short, you might say pixie cut or above the ears. For longer hair, you'd say mid-back length, waist length, or if you're really committed, hip length hair.
Those are really helpful descriptions. Now let's talk about color. That seems like a whole different vocabulary set.
Oh boy, color terminology can get really specific. Let's start with the basics. If you want to lighten your entire head of hair, that's called all-over color or single process color. If you just want some lighter pieces throughout, those are highlights. The opposite of highlights is lowlights, which are darker pieces that add depth.
I've heard of balayage and ombre. What are those?
Great question. Balayage is a French word that means to sweep. It's a highlighting technique where the color is hand-painted onto the hair, creating a more natural, sun-kissed look. The highlights are usually concentrated around the face and the ends of the hair. Ombre is when your hair gradually goes from dark at the roots to light at the ends. There's a clear color transition, like going from dark brown to blonde.
So balayage is more blended and natural looking, while ombre is more dramatic with a clear color change.
Exactly, you've got it. There's also sombre, which is like a subtle ombre. The transition is more gradual and less obvious. And then there's baby lights, which are super fine, delicate highlights that mimic the natural highlights you had as a child.
Wow, there is so many techniques. What about when someone wants to cover gray hair?
For gray coverage, you'd typically get root touch-up or root color if you just want to cover the roots, or full coverage or permanent color if you want to color all of your hair. Some people also do gray blending, where instead of completely covering the gray hair, the stylist adds highlights and lowlights to blend the gray hair with your natural color. It's become really popular because it's lower maintenance.
That makes sense. Now, I know there are different types of colors in terms of how long they last. Can you explain those?
Absolutely. So permanent color is the most long-lasting. It actually changes the structure of your hair and will grow out rather than wash out. Semi-permanent color lasts through about 20 to 28 shampoos and gradually fades. It doesn't have ammonia, so it's gentler on your hair. Demi-permanent color is in between. It lasts longer than semi-permanent, but not as long as permanent. And finally, temporary color washes out in 1 or 2 shampoos. That's good for special events or if you want to test out a color before committing.
Those are really important distinctions. So what about when people want to go dark to light? I know that's complicated.
Oh yes, going lighter is definitely more complex. If you have dark hair and want to go significantly lighter, you'll need bleaching or lightening. This is a chemical process that removes the natural pigment from your hair. Sometimes it takes multiple sessions, especially if you have very dark hair and want to go platinum blonde. You can't just put blonde dye on dark hair. You have to lift the color first with bleach.
And I've heard that can be pretty damaging to hair, right?
It can be, yes. That's why it's so important to go to an experienced colorist and to take care of your hair afterwards with deep conditioning treatments. Speaking of treatments, let's talk about those. There's lots of treatments you can get at a salon.
Okay, what kinds of treatments are popular?
Well, there's deep conditioning treatment, or hair mask, which moisturizes and nourishes your hair. There's keratin treatment, which smooths frizzy hair and makes it more manageable. It can last for several months. There's Olaplex, which is a popular treatment that repairs damaged hair at the molecular level. And there's glossing, or toner, which adds shine and can adjust the tone of your color hair.
What's the difference between a gloss and a toner?
They're pretty similar, but generally a toner is used to neutralize unwanted tones in your hair. Like if your blonde hair turns brassy or orange, a toner with purple or blue undertones can cancel that out. A gloss is more about adding shine and enhancing your existing color. It's like a top coat for your hair.
I love that analogy. Now, let's talk about some common problems people have at salons. What are some hair salon horror stories you've heard?
Oh, goodness, where do I start? The most common disaster is when the color doesn't turn out right. I've heard so many stories of people asking for caramel highlights and ending up with bright orange streaks, or asking for a subtle blonde and coming out platinum. Color can be so tricky because what looks one way in the salon might look completely different in natural light.
Have you ever had a bad experience?
I have, actually. Once I asked for just a trim, maybe 2 inches, and the stylist cut off at least 6 inches. I almost cried. I had been growing my hair out for over a year, and suddenly it was back to my shoulders. I was so upset.
Oh no! What did you do?
Well, I was too shocked to say anything while I was there, which is a mistake. You should always speak up immediately if something isn't right. But I called the salon later and spoke to the manager. They offered me a partial refund and a free treatment at my next visit, but honestly, the damage was done. I couldn't get my length back.
That's a good lesson. Always speak up in the moment. What are some other common complaints?
Another big one is when layers are cut too short or too choppy. Some people ask for layers and end up with what looks like a staircase on their head. Or bangs cut too short. That's a classic. You ask for eyebrow grazing bangs and they cut them 2 inches above your eyebrows. That takes months to grow out.
I've had my own bad haircut experiences. I once asked for a fade on the sides, and the barber gave me what looked like a bowl cut. The sides were way too high, and I had this weird mushroom shape. I had to wear a hat for 2 weeks until it grew out a bit.
Oh no, that's terrible. See, this is why communication is so important. Let's talk about how to make sure you get what you want.
Yes, great idea. What's the best way to communicate with your stylist?
First of all, bring pictures. This is so important. Don't just describe what you want, show them. You can find pictures on Instagram, Pinterest, or even Google Images. Find several pictures that show different angles of the style you want. Your stylist can look at them and say, yes, I can do that, or that might not work with your hair type, but here's a similar option.
That's great advice. What if the stylist says something won't work for you?
Listen to them. A good stylist will be honest with you. If you have fine, straight hair, you're probably not going to be able to achieve the same voluminous curls as someone with thick, naturally curly hair. If your hair is damaged, your stylist might recommend waiting before doing more chemical processing. They're the experts, so trust their judgment.
What about hair texture? I know that plays a big role in what styles work.
Absolutely. When describing your hair, you might say it's fine, thin individual strands, thick, lots of hair, coarse, thick individual strands, curly, wavy, straight, frizzy, or smooth. Some people have combination hair, like oily roots but dry ends. All of these factors affect what styles and products will work best for you.
And what about hair types? I've heard people refer to hair as 2A, 3B, things like that.
Yes, that's the curl pattern typing system. It goes from type 1, straight, to type 4, very curly or coily, with subcategories A, B, and C that indicate how tight the curl pattern is. So 2A would be very loose, subtle waves, while 3C would be tight corkscrew curls. This system is especially important for people with curly or textured hair because it helps them find the right products and techniques.
That's really interesting. Now, what about the actual salon experience? What should people know about etiquette?
Good question. First of all, always show up on time, or even a few minutes early. If you're late, your appointment might get cut short or rescheduled. Also, come with clean, dry hair unless your stylist specifically tells you otherwise. Some color services require clean hair, while others work better on hair that hasn't been washed for a day or two.
What about during the appointment? Is it okay to use your phone?
Most stylists don't mind if you check your phone occasionally, but don't be glued to it the whole time. They're trying to talk to you about what you want, and they need you to sit still, especially during cutting or coloring. It's also nice to make conversation. Your stylist is a person too. But if you prefer to relax quietly, that's okay. Just let them know at the beginning. Like, I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to close my eyes and relax a bit.
What about tipping? I know this can be confusing.
Tipping is definitely expected in most countries, especially in the United States. The standard is 15 to 20% of the service cost. If you had exceptional service, you might tip 25%. If your stylist spent extra time with you or fixed a problem, consider tipping on the higher end. Also, if you had multiple people work on you, like one person shampooed, another did your color, and your stylist did the cut, try to give each person something.
How do you split up the tips if multiple people helped you?
A good rule of thumb is to give the main stylist the bulk of the tip, maybe 15 to 20% of the total cost. Then give the assistant or shampoo person $5 to $10, depending on how long they spent with you and what services they provided. Some salons have tip jars at the front desk where you can put cash for the support staff.
Good to know. Now, what about maintaining your hair between salon visits? Any tips?
Yes, first invest in good products. Your stylist will probably recommend specific shampoos and conditioners based on your hair type and any treatments you've had. For colored hair, use color-safe products that don't have sulfates. Sulfates strip color out faster. If you got a keratin treatment or other smoothing service, you might need to avoid washing your hair for a few days and use specific sulfate-free products.
What about heat styling? I know a lot of people use flat irons and curling irons.
Always, always use a heat protectant spray before using hot tools. Heat can really damage your hair over time, causing split ends and breakage. Try to let your hair air dry when possible, and when you do use heat tools, use the lowest temperature that still works for your hair. Also, get regular trims, even if you're growing your hair out. Trimming off split ends every few months actually helps your hair grow longer and look healthier.
That's counterintuitive, but makes sense. Okay, let's talk about some trendy styles. What's popular right now?
Oh, there are so many trends. The Rachel is actually making a comeback. You know, that layered, bouncy style Jennifer Aniston had in the 90s. Curtain bangs are huge right now, as I mentioned earlier. Shag haircuts with lots of layers and texture are very popular. And for color, chunky highlights from the early 2000s are back, as well as money piece highlights. Those are the face-framing pieces of lighter hair on either side of your face.
It's funny how trends cycle back around. What about men's hairstyles?
For men, the fade is still super popular. That's when the sides are cut very short and gradually blend into longer hair on top. There's the undercut, where the sides are buzzed and the top is left long. Textured crops are trendy. That's short on the sides with textured, piecey hair on top. And of course, the classic quiff, where the hair is swept up and back from the forehead.
I've been thinking about trying something new. Any advice for someone who wants to change their look but is nervous?
Start small. Instead of going from long to super short, maybe try a medium length first. Instead of going platinum blonde, try some subtle highlights. Talk to your stylist about low commitment changes. You could even try temporary color or extensions to test out a look before fully committing. And remember, hair grows back. It might take time, but a bad haircut isn't forever.
That's reassuring. Okay, final question. What's the one thing you wish everyone knew about going to the hair salon experience?
I think the most important thing is that communication is everything. Don't be shy or embarrassed to speak up. If you don't like how something is going, say something immediately. If you're not sure what you want, be honest about that too. Your stylist can help guide you. And please be realistic. Your stylist isn't a magician. They can't give you thick, voluminous hair if you have fine, thin hair. They can't make your hair grow 6 inches overnight. Trust their expertise, be patient with the process, and maintain realistic expectations.
Those are all excellent points. Well, Sarah, I think we've covered just about everything someone needs to know about the hair salon experience. Thanks so much for sharing all these secrets.
My pleasure. I hope this helps everyone feel more confident the next time they visit a salon.
And that's a wrap, everyone. We hope you learned some useful vocabulary and tips for your next hair salon visit. Remember, don't be afraid to communicate clearly with your stylist. Bring pictures of what you want and speak up if something doesn't look right. If you enjoyed this lesson, please like and subscribe to Native Speaker's channel and let us know in the comments what's the best or worst haircut you've ever had. We'd love to hear your stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.